So, all right, so we are now in the final days of RISE2, right? From a copyright perspective, if you see, right? Uh, okay, first of all, I want to let you know the days that you see on the header will be different from the days that have been perceived to be seen while starting that relevant lecture. Okay, and I've explained this earlier. The way they have been put together so that they can be seen in one shot requires it to be seen from that day perspective, because some of y'all are working, and since it might not be conducive or comfortable for you to go through and follow that series of days, hence it has been put into a fashion where respective days can come into existence for ease of use. Okay, but that is as much as that. So you might not want to pay as much attention there, but rather than the starting of the topic, and but you can go through it at your own pace, the way you want it. Okay. With that said, for copywriting, all right, we'll cover 5 elements which are essentially required for from a digital asset perspective, and copyright is a very it's a humongous topic in itself again, right? So again, let me give you some pro inputs first of all. The skill develops with time and experience. So people who don't have it will have to be patient with it and start developing and inculcating that practice so that they come to that point. Okay, until the point at least they are comfortable, because that is how the confidence comes into existence. So a writer repeatedly, until your inner write. Okay, so write repeatedly. So that's the wrong spelling there. So write repeatedly until your inner voice and style are developed. Okay, now what does this mean? This means that when you repeat yourself and you're writing it, right, you tend to come to understand that what you actually want to convey rather than the spoken words. Okay, so written words typically are more from a kind of subconscious level, if you will, where it comes into existence out of your consciousness. Okay, now if you let loose your subconscious level without really your conscious level intermingling with it, you will really understand your inner voice. And once that repeats as a repeated cycle, they call it 10,000 hours, yeah, that thing, that you will understand, and sooner or later your inner voice and you know, uh, your outcome starts matching up, and that's when your confidence really builds up. Okay, so that is a style build up process. So leave it patiently with time and persevere on it so that you come to that point. Having said that, the third point is take inspiration and ideation from the great copies out there. Okay, so whatever you feel is great, you should follow it through, right? Tremendously. We'll give you some names that we think are right. So from a foundational perspective, right? From the pro tip, now we're moving into the foundational settings. Now, this, as I told you earlier, is a lifelong skill, right? So once you develop, it's hard getting away, and your inner voice and your outer writings come into existence in synergy, and the whole, so to speak, the synchronization comes to existence from a symphony perspective. So, copy and music both need to have a great rhythm and symphony. Okay, so what that means, it has to come from within, as simple as that. So both copy or music has to come from within. So something soothing to you might not be really soothing to the others, but if there's a match between the two, you'll find the like-minded people to start perceiving in the same way you do. Okay, so deep connection and find your style. So this is the pro tip that was given to you. Repeat it as often as possible. Study copywriters. I gave a few names. There are many out there. So the Gary Halbert and John Carlton. You should read their work, right? You'll understand what at least people like me like. Okay, and I like others also. I mean, that too many of that now that list is very long. But I give in one of the best ones to you. Okay, now similarly, develop your inner voice while you write. You also develop, as I told you, right, the whole subconscious conscious factor come to existence. So inner voice and outer voice come to synergy and a symphony's form. This is that mode, and we've covered that research topic, right? Day the rise to day 5. Okay, the day 5 written on the top. So that consists of various research sites typically to find the kind of copy that you would like. Okay, go deeper with it and start understanding it, how that whole thing works as a foundational activity, so that you can get into details of what all is required, typically also to write a copy. Okay, a copy would mean those 5 other elements that we go in a minute for. So, so with that said, let's jump to the next one. I'll see you in the next lecture.